Hello, parents and families of École Bilingue de Berkeley. I am Maggie Schoen, curriculum coordinator and instructional coach. And I'd like to take this opportunity to give you a little bit of training on the SeeSaw platform that we are using for distance learning for kindergarten through fourth grade. I hope this training will answer some of your questions, provide you with an overview of SeeSaw and how to use it at home with your child. So when you go to SeeSaw for the first time, you're going to have this in front of your screen. SeeSaw can be web-based, so you can just go to the website or you can go to the app. But your child will click on I'm a student. You may have seen this, I'm a family member, or you may have seen a prompt that says get the family app. Right now, we're using the class app, and we only want students to log into the class app, not the family app. And the reason for that is that we are using this tool to assign activities and have students complete them as if they were in class, even though they're at home. Normally, the family app is something that families can only see the student's journal, so they can see work that's been completed. But we're in a distance learning situation. We want the students to actually complete the work at home. So you're always going to be in the class app. You click on I'm a student. And you can either put in the text code or you can scan a code. And just so you know, this is the paper that you will see. It says SeeSaw home learning code at the top with your child's name. So you can either put in the text code, which is on that paper. It's a 12 letters, or you can scan the code. And if you scan the code, you can hold the paper up like this, and it will scan your child in. So this is Estelle Schoen. She's in second grade. And that is how you log in. Why are we using SeeSaw app for kindergarten through fourth grade? It's really a wonderful application that's easy to use for students, and it's typically used a lot with preschool and elementary age students. We also have Zoom at our disposal. Zoom is a way for teachers to be live with students. But there's limitations to being live. First of all, if the student misses the live session, then they could miss a lot of instruction. And if they weren't paying attention, then they might miss things. And also it's with young children, sometimes it's hard to have the level of engagement that you need for long periods on Zoom, but we're finding short periods are useful. And SeeSaw is a great platform though, because students can complete work on their own. They don't have to be on their screen. They can complete work in cahiers or on paper and pencil by actually reading. But the SeeSaw app allows them to share their work with the teacher, and the teacher can give feedback. So I'm sure you've seen on your child's posts that they receive text comments from their teacher, and they also can receive audio comments from their teacher. Their teacher can even send them a correction or ask them to redo something. So that interactivity is really important for students because, you know, some schools don't have a distance learning plan at all. So other schools are just sending home a packet. But this SeeSaw platform really gives us an opportunity to have a qualitative exchange between teachers and students. So when you log in, you will always see three main sections on the students' class app. So this first section is called journal. It's kind of like a blog style. All of your child's work is going to end up there. So if you want to look at anything that they did or check to see the comment that a teacher might have made, then you can click on this, and all the child's work will be there. The second main part is activities. Here is kind of like your to-do list. So the teachers have a plan for the day, and they'll make certain things activities, and then this is where your child can add their response and upload their work, or share their knowledge with teachers and then get the feedback. So normally once you add a response to an activity, it will go away and no longer be in the list. So you can kind of use this to keep track of where your child is and how much they still need to do in the days in that day or in the days ahead. The third section here is the inbox, and that's where messages and announcements will come from your teacher. So most teachers are using the same format to make it easy for you. So for instance, already for tomorrow, Friday the 20th, you have a list of things that the child is doing in French. If you're worried that maybe your child maybe can't read that whole list depending on their age, teachers are also teachers are also recording an audio that goes with that so the students can listen to it and they'll know everything that's on the list. And then for English, we have also a date here, and then Emily has put some activities for the day, also some optional things, and she's also
Friday, March 20th, English with Emily,
recorded a message for them so they can listen to it. Okay, so the way the inbox works is the oldest things are on top, so you'll scroll down to see what's the current things. But it's important to note that teachers will start erasing those old announcements. So, after a week, they'll take off the older ones, and so this doesn't become too overloaded, the announcements, and you can really see the list of activities for that day or the list of activities for the last couple of days. If you missed one day and you didn't get to certain activities, you can always go back and look at this list. So now that you know those three kind of main parts of the SeeSaw, I'm going to show you how to complete activities and use some of the tools. After I show you several activities and how to complete, I'm going to end up this session by giving you some really important tips. But one of them I'll give you right now. A couple of them I'll give you right now. You need to update the app often because there's updates that are happening every day, sometimes twice a day. And if you don't update the app and refresh it and have your students sign out and sign back in, sometimes you'll have glitches. One of those glitches can be that you're trying to respond to an activity and it actually goes right to their journal instead. So if you click on this add button and your child takes a photo or does a drawing, does a video, writes a note, it'll go right to their journal, and the teacher can approve it from there. So it's not like they can't do that, but we really would encourage students to instead go to their activities and click on add response for the activity, because then when the teacher views their response, they see exactly what that work was associated with. So they could click on this activity and they'll see all the math pages from the students who are responding to this. When you instead just use this add button and just post something, it's not really tied to an activity, and sometimes the teachers have trouble kind of figuring out what it is. So try to post to the activities when you can. Of course, you can also use, I'll just add this right now, you can also use this add feature if you want to send a message to the teacher. They may not get it right away because teachers, they're getting, hundreds of posts that they have to go through and respond to, so it might be the next day. But you could use this and write a little note or a comment to your teacher if you needed to. Of course, as parents, you can also use the email feature. That's going to be faster. But if your child wanted to share something special with their teacher that's not associated with an activity, they could use that add button. So let's talk about completing activities. So one of the ones that we could try is here in English on March 20th, there's a spring poem. So I can play the instructions right from this screen.
Today is the first day of spring. Read the poem, Welcome Spring.
So that's a nice audio feature, and the teacher's reading all these instructions, but it's in text for you, the parent, so you can quickly see. You can also write from this page, double click here, and you can see up close some of the work that's posted. All right, then what you can do is you can click on this add response button. So again, when you click activities and you go to one, always click this add response, and then your child's work will be associated with that activity. So if we click add response, in this particular activity, there's a template, okay? I'm going to show you next an activity without a template, and you'll see that there's choices that the student can make about how they respond to the activity or work. But here we have a template, and if I click on view instructions, and I forget what I'm supposed to be doing, I can do it right from here. I don't have to go all the way back out of this screen. So first I'm going to read the poem Welcome Spring, and then I'm going to do the following. Use different colors with your color tools. Circle the different rhyming words in the poem. For example, circle the rhyming words sit and bit in blue, the words cat, bat, and mat in orange. Random words not from the poem. Okay, so here we have all of our tools. So I have at the bottom here a chooser tool, a pencil, a marker, a highlighter, a special gel pen, and an eraser. So I'm reading the poem, waiting through the winter for the snow to melt away. Then finally it happened, spring came to save the day. Oh, away and day, those are rhyming words. So I'm going to use my marker and I'm going to circle them. Now, if your child is using a tablet, they can do this right with their finger, okay? Or a Chromebook, anything that has a touch screen. The browns and whites are leaving, replaced by pink and blue, purples, yellows, and greens, just to name a few. Okay, so I'm going to choose a different color, and I see that blue and few need to be circled. If I circled few and I made a mistake, I can go up to this back button. It'll take off just the thing I did. I can also click on my eraser, and I can erase something and do it over. Click back on my marker. Okay, I'm going to circle blue again, few again. Okay, I could go through that. Say I wanted to see this closer up. Sometimes the templates are far away. Up here, you see this zoom in tool. I click on that, I click plus, I can click plus again, and then I can move this around on the screen to change it around. Oh, I have my marker. Let me take my eraser and erase that. Okay. Now, see here I have the select tool, this hand, and I can't move the screen. If you want, you can click on these three dots and you can unlock the screen, and then you can move it around, okay? Now, I don't want to move it around right now because I have that. So if I go back, I can start over if I need to. So another thing we can do in the instructions is underline the nouns. I'm going to skip that for right now. If the teacher wanted to hear the student saying this um, poem, they could click over here on the microphone. They can click the microphone. Welcome spring, waiting through the winter for the snow to melt away. Then finally it happened. Spring came to save the day. Then I could read my whole poem. I click this done button when I'm done. I can listen to what I recorded. Welcome spring. Okay. I could re-record if I want, or then if I'm done, I can click this check. I'm not going to click the check on this one because otherwise I have to erase it later. But let me just show you one other thing on this one, and then I'm going to show you a different activity. So when I circled these, and I zoom, that is better. So I just learned something right now. So I would actually not suggest that you unlock it, because right now if I'm using this up here in the upper left hand of my screen to scroll down and scroll up, the work I did stays there. So I can scroll down a little bit in the poem, and then I can choose a different color and I can circle other rhyming words. And then I can go up here to the top left and I can scroll it down. That stays there. But remember, when we unlocked it, when we moved it around, then what we wrote wasn't there anymore. So actually, you don't want to unlock it. So I'm actually going to click on lock. I mean, I'm going to start all over, but that's just a little tidbit there. Okay, so I'm going to delete this and show you a couple other activities. So if you go to Poésie, okay, they're supposed to listen to the poem several times, read it, and then recopy it in their cahier. And they can also start to do a picture in their cahier. If I click on this, I'm going to hear audio instructions. When I click add response, I have my tools in front of me, and that's because there's no template for this, because they're doing this work in their actual cahier or workbook or journal for their poems and their songs. So now I have a choice. I can take a photo, I can do a drawing, I can do a video, I could do a link, I could do a note, or I could upload a file, a photo, or video. So in this case, the child could take the photo, they could show their cahier, right? Let's just pretend this is our cahier. So they could show their cahier, they could take a picture of it. Okay, actually, let's do that and not take a picture of us. Look at that nice picture. Okay, let's pretend this is their poem that they copied. And then they could click on the record button and they could record themselves reading the poem. Okay, so that's over here. Okay, so let me show you a couple other activities because I don't want this training to last too long. So I'm going to wrap it up in a couple minutes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to sign out and show you some activities in some other classes. So I'm going to sign in as a teacher so I could show you a couple other kinds of activities. So here in kindergarten, if I scroll down, there's wonderful activities in here that the teachers have created for the students. Here's a good one, letters and sounds I know. So I click on add response, and I can view the instructions, record yourself saying each letter and the sound. Okay, and then click the green tick when you're done. And you can skip the ones you don't know. So I press record. R, X, X, K, K, S, S, C, K, T, T. Oh, this one I don't know. It said to skip it, but if I wanted to, I could take my pen there and say, I don't know that one, so I circled it. Okay. So again, you can listen to this, you can re-record if you want, and then when you're done, you click this check here. And then it goes to the teacher for review, and the teacher will give their comment. I was just clicked as the sample student there, so that's okay. Here's another one. Associer les nombres et les quantités. I click add response. So I view the instructions. I'm going to drag the numbers to the matching 10 frames, and then I'm going to record myself reading the numbers. So this one is a 10, so I'm going to grab this, put it right in there. This one's a 2, put it right in there, and then I can record myself reading all the numbers once I'm done with this activity. Let me show you a couple fourth grade activities, and then I'm going to wrap up this session. So, oh, and I'm going to actually show you something really cool about how to print work off of SeeSaw. If you don't want to complete the work on SeeSaw, you can also print things out, okay? So, just to scroll down to an activity. Here's a Reader's Workshop activity. We're going to go to Epic. I'm going to actually do another webinar about our enrichment tools. Raz Kids, Zern for math, Epic. I'm going to do a whole webinar for you guys and just talk about those tools. But in this case, kids, we're going to go to Epic. They were going to put in their class code. I'm not going to go through that right now because I'm going to do that on a separate webinar. But they're going to read a book from their women's history collection. They're going to take some notes in their reading journal, and then they're going to post a photo of their reading journal, or they're going to record a video of them talking about a reflection about what one of the women they read about in the women's history. So I click on add response, and I have my tools, right? So if I want to say my learning, I can take a video of myself, or I can click on the photo of my notes in my reader's journal. Let me show you that thing I said about printing things bigger. So here's a math lesson. There's a YouTube video of a teacher going over the problems in the lesson. There's also Zern.org. So that's one of those enrichment tools that we've been using since last spring. But if you want to learn more about it and how kids work on Zern, especially in this distance learning time, because teachers are assigning Zern and assigning Raz and Epic, I'm going to do a whole webinar on those tools. But here's what I was talking about. You have an example here, and if you add response, you could do the work right on this. So you could use your pencil, and you could draw your number line, and you could complete your work right on the template. Some kids like to do that, but there's other kids that have a hard time with that, and they need the paper and pencil. So if I double click on this math lesson and I click down here on View Original, it pops up in a form where I can go ahead and download it to my computer and or print it. So if your child works better with the pencil and the paper for this Eureka Math, which is what the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders are using, this is going to be a nice option for you. And Zern aligns with Eureka Math. So their Zern lessons are going to go exactly with this, and it's a person teaching them. Now, the teachers are also teaching them during their Zoom sessions, but we are very lucky that we have this math curriculum, which has so many online resources. It's coming in really handy during this time of distance learning. So that's where I'm going to wrap it up because I don't want to keep you too long. I hope you've learned a little bit about how to use the tools on SeeSaw and how to post activities. So remember some of our important tips. Update the app often, sign in, sign out, refresh to keep everything working properly. Try to post ad response to all the activities and not just that add button. Oh, I didn't mention this, but you can post up to 10 photos on the same activity. So if you're doing an activity like, say, a journal write, and they write 2 pages, you don't have to make those 2 separate posts. You can put both of them on the same post. So anyway, I hope this is helpful to you. The teachers and the students so far are loving SeeSaw. It's unfortunate that we didn't get to train the students on this tool before we had the date come up when we closed the school. I think we had been busy preparing for it for a couple weeks and getting a lot of things into place, but we didn't actually know until a day or two, a day before that it was imminent. And so some of the students didn't really get some of the students got to be trained and use SeeSaw in their classroom, but some of the students didn't. And so we understand that it's tough to introduce this new tool to students while they're at home. But I hope that as you continue to use it, you'll see the interactivity of it. You'll see the quality of responses. You'll see the feedback going back and forth between the student and the teacher. And all the resources that are available to us with the exchange on SeeSaw. So like I mentioned, keep your eyes out for upcoming webinars that I'm going to record for parents. One of them is just going to be on our additional distance learning tools, which have already been in place, but you may not have explored them deeply up to this point. Bar enrichment tools like Raz Kids, where they can read leveled books, record themselves reading, listen to books in French and in English online. They have a login for Raz. You'll learn about Zern, which is our math math enrichment website where they can get math lessons, practice math fluency, have assessments done. It's very much tailored to every student. They have a login for that, 1st through 5th grade. I'll talk to you about Epic, which is a wonderful resource for free online digital books, 35,000, many of which can be listened to and others that can be read. I can talk a little bit about Starfall as well. So I'm going to do a whole webinar on those tools. I'm also going to do a webinar on best practices for using Zoom at home with your child, the settings that you can do and the things that you can change to make it easier for your child to interact on Zoom. I'll do one on general best practices for distance learning, tips and recommendations for you at home. And I'm going to have a live Q&A session for SeeSaw where you can ask your questions about SeeSaw and I can answer them and show everything to you on the website or the app for SeeSaw. So I hope you've enjoyed this and I hope it helps a little bit. You can always reach out to me if you have questions. My email is mschhoon@eb.org, and I look forward to supporting you and your children as you navigate our new distance learning platforms. Thank you.